Understanding Literature, Understanding Culture. Hello everyone! In this chapter, we'll talk something roughly about literature. The first question is, how do we define literature? In fact, literature is a general term for any written works as poetry, stories, essays, or dramas, which have lasting artistic values. Now, many of you may be frightened by this big, abstract definition. Literature seems to be remote and far away from our daily life, and you may wonder about the practical use of it. Has literature become redundant in this information era? Definitely no. Literature is still the most effective way to reach people's heart. For example, when the Japanese donated medical equipment to us, we were greatly moved by the poems on the boxes. 山川异域，风月同天 Miles apart, close and heart. 其约无衣，与子同袍 Share the clothes with others who have none. Similarly, it successfully enhanced Sino-Italy friendship when Xiaomi posted Silica's poem on the medical donation boxes. We are the waves of the same sea, leaves of the same tree, flowers of the same garden. Literature helps people connect closer. More importantly, by reading literature works, we can greatly enrich our life. Most of the people we meet are pretty much like ourselves, and what we can see of the world in a lifetime is greatly limited. Literature allows us to move beyond the inevitable boundaries of our own lives and culture because it introduces us to the people different from ourselves, places remote from our neighborhood, and times other than our own. You may never be a prince, a monkey king, or an intelligent detective in real life. But by reading literature works, you can easily get to know Hamlet, Sun Wukong.
From the beginning of time, a rock had sat high on top of a mountain. The sun, the moon, heaven and earth all worked their magic on the rock. One day, the rock split open. Inside was a monkey. The monkey stood up and stretched. Suddenly, powerful light shot from his eyes. For a moment, the light reached the cloud palace in heaven. The Jade Emperor, ruler of heaven, sat up. He turned to one of his captains, who was standing nearby.
Find out what caused that light,
said the Emperor.
Yes, Your Majesty,
said the captain. The captain rushed out of the hall. He looked out the southern gate of heaven and saw the monkey on earth below.
And Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, I'll prove it. Give me time. Will you give me time?
10,
It's a kid. Oh, God, it's a kid.
What did he say? 10.
9,
He's giving me time.
Jesus.
It's a fake. How can I prove it? How?
8,
This kid will die. Tell me why the painting is a fake. Tell me!
7,
No, shut up. Don't say anything. Only works if I figure it out.
Must be possible. Must be staring me in the face.
6,
Look at you, but how?
5,
Sherlock. Oh, on the
4,
planetarium, you heard it too. Oh, that is brilliant. That is gorgeous.
3,
Brilliant. What is? Beautiful.
2,
The Van Buren supernova.
Lee, there's somebody there. Somebody help me.
There you go. Go find out where he is and pick him up. Van Buren supernova, so called. Exploding star only appeared in the sky in 1858.
So how could it have been painted in the 16th?
Making friends with them while experiencing their ups and downs, their happiness and frustrations. It's true, of course, that many people go through life without reading any literature, but that is a loss rather than a gain. They may find themselves troubled by the same kinds of questions that troubled Daisy in Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. What shall we do with ourselves this afternoon? Cried Daisy. And the day after that, and the next 30 years. People live and die, but human nature remains the same. In a word, people who read literature experience more lives and have a keener sense of human nature than those who do not. Besides, literature offers us enjoyment. Stories, poems, and plays are fictional. They are made up as a source of pleasure rather than of information. And we read them basically for the same reasons as we listen to music or watch a movie. For example, if you look up the definition of snake, any dictionary would tell you that snake is a kind of limbless scaled reptiles with a long body and with salivary glands often modified to produce venom, which is injected through fans. Yes, quite accurate, but quite boring. To save us from this matter-of-fact boring definition is Emily Dickinson's poetic description of a snake in her poem, A Little Fellow in the Grass. A little fellow in the grass occasionally writes. You may have met him, did you not, attended or alone, without a tighter breathing, at zero and the bone. The dictionary provides the accurate description of what a snake is, while Dickinson's poem suggests what a snake can mean. Definition offers facts and the poem offers an experience. Instead of defining the word, literature encourages us to try it out in our own imagination and gives us a lot of enjoyment. Incidentally, in Chinese literature, snake also has lots of connotations far beyond the tedious scientific definition, such as the love story between beautiful white snake and Xu Xian. In addition, literature can stir our emotions. Mark Twain once said that a person not to read literature is the same as a person who is unable to read. In our time, the question is not what to read, but why we still read classics. Besides what mentioned above, one of the most important values of our literature is that it nourishes our emotions. A great literary work may seem to speak directly to us. The inner life that good writers reveal in their characters often gives us a glimpse of some portion of ourselves. We can be moved to laugh, cry, dream, or read with a character by simply turning a page instead of turning our lives upside down. Although the experience itself is imagined, the emotion is real. Collect people closer, enrich our life, give us enjoyment, stir our emotions. That's the charm of literature, and that's why we still read it in this information era. In the following parts, we'll see how Chinese and Western literature differ in poetry, drama, and fiction. Like a fish doesn't know about the water around it. If we are immersed only in our own culture, we can never truly understand it. By making the comparison, we'll know better about the Chinese culture. Now, let's review this part by 2 simple questions. Number 1, how do we define literature? There's no absolute definition about literature. Usually speaking, it's a general term for any written words, such as poetry, drama, fiction, or essay, which have long-lasting artistic values. That means not anything written down can be called literature. Second question, why is literature so important to us? Literature is important because it has the power to connect people. The moralities and values embodied in literature could influence people for generations. It can enrich our life and offer us enjoyment. More importantly, it can stir our emotions by experiencing pleasure, anger, happiness, and sadness, hidden in the literature works. Reading literature is the best way for emotional education.